Yes.
Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the Countless Vlogcast. My guest today is Lisa VINSON, mental health professional. How are you today?
How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell us about yourself.
So I'm a counselor educator. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor, a licensed, excuse me, a licensed certified alcohol and other drug addictions counselor, and an approved clinical supervisor here in the state of Illinois, specifically Chicago, Illinois South Side.
Shout out Southside. So, as a therapist, how's going to therapy help you personally?
So, therapy for me, I began my journey, as I stated, to those that asked me, I began when I entered my master's program. We had to go and seek out for therapy sessions because they wanted you to get the feel of what you would be as a client in the client's position and in the therapy session. And so from there, I really learned that it's a really great, safe place to be that's non-judgmental. And you have at least an hour, so 50 minutes to an hour, to really be able to focus in on you and what's best for you in your life. So
Great.
that
So, as a therapist yourself and as a Black woman, why would you recommend therapy to somebody out there maybe struggling against therapy or maybe unsure about it?
I think from my experience looking at promoting good mental health and what we consider good mental health to ourselves, I believe that a lot of people that I've encountered have had some type of form of therapy, but it's been mandated. So whether it was by school, a life choice, um, just whatever the case may have been, sometimes there's an internal struggle to trust and be able to be authentic in a space that you've been forced to. So one of the things that I like to say is that it's really a great, safe, non-judgmental space, again, for you to be able to concentrate on yourself and for you to become self-reflective. And I think it helps to allow you to get into a space where you can concentrate on you and be able to focus on what's good or things that are giving you a challenge at the moment in life.
Great. So, what are some issues you find in the Black community that's prevalent?
I think in our community, of course, the times that we are living in right now, there is just blatant racism, something that a lot of people have not maybe necessarily seen to this level. We've experienced it. They talk about a feel. And so there is a feeling in the air for Blacks and African Americans that things are really just at an all-time high of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at some processes and issues that I sort of see in the African American space is that, the first issue is that African Americans or Black Americans, their experience continues to be characterized by trauma and violence. That's how it's characterized as their experience. And so when you come in with that process, which is not at the moment positive, and that is not everybody's experience, there's a cultural stigma that goes along with that. So looking at really working with structures, systematic discriminative structures, institutions, and working with us as being individuals, I believe would help us strengthen our resolve in today's society. So there are a multitude of issues that I see. There's some violence. There is lack of access to health care. There is um, mental health services have been cut down. I know here in the city of Chicago, and looking at things of just basic financial needs and nutrition to carry us on our day. So those are a couple of things that I see as paramount right now.
So, what are there were some ways to cope now? So so many issues though, but what are some solutions moving forward to help us through daily life?
Through coping with through daily
Yeah,
life.
through those the racism, microaggressions, and all that.
So I think one, being mindful that it's not you, things are happening. Sometimes we have to stop and think, is it me? Or am I setting myself up to expect something? And that's just the norm sometimes. But really being able to take a step back and go, this happened. It's my experience. And I have a right to be upset, but my response to it should not be um, something that can alter my life. My response should not alter my life and my future going forward. So just being able to take a breath. Other coping skills is concentrating on just taking time for you. We always think of self care as this big block of time, hours of time or being financial. Just being able to say you're at work, or now since we're at home, a lot of us are at home or at work, just being able to walk out into the hallway for 10 minutes or walk around the building. Say you need to go to the printer, it takes you 7 steps. But if you take the long way around, it might take you 4 minutes. Just being able to check in for yourself and be self reflective and get a moment of peace. So, those breathing techniques, as we always talk about, meditation, and just really being able to self serve the needs that you have because you can't help anybody else.
So in this pandemic, since people aren't able to go out to like one-on-one sessions too, how can people receive therapy in the virtual age now?
So right now, I've done in the beginning, starting in March, we did a lot of texting. We were not set up for telehealth. So telehealth has been primarily now at this moment during the pandemic as the go-to for mental health. There are still some places that are now receiving clients in the door, but it looks very different. But texting and telemental health right now are the big push. And so I've just seen more people come in and keep appointments through telehealth and definitely through texting and checking in and being present in the session that I've seen where maybe you have to travel, plan, pack up children, pack up your life, get your life together, and just come in. So I've seen an upswing in telehealth.
So in terms of like finding the resources and like paying for that too, because a lot of people are like unemployed. That's like probably the highest unemployment rate ever. So what are some ways people are gonna like find resources like for like pay scales and like different stuff like that?
So they have a lot of programs. They are definitely filling up very quick, but they have a lot of social service organizations here, definitely in Chicago, that will see you on a sliding scale. And sliding scale means zero. There are groups of therapists that are online, whether you find them scrolling through Facebook, whether you're looking on Instagram and Twitter and everything. They have therapists that are actually giving so many sessions for free. And so just really being able to check into your social media, being able to check into social organizations, fraternal organizations that are in your community, contacting your alderman's office, contacting your representative office to be able to find those resources because typically they know what's going on in the community and can point you to a building for free services or low cost services.
Great. So we talked a little about the virtual age of mental health too, but how else has it changed over the last 2 years, like the industry and mental health in general?
I think I see a definite acknowledgement and acceptance of getting great mental health services. So, what I've seen within the last 2 years are people reaching out for mental health services. I've definitely seen mandated, and that's an upswing based upon just life circumstances in the era that we live in. But I definitely see, definitely, I work a lot with higher education students and adults, and I definitely see that they are reaching out to, look at self-actualization, looking at self, looking at affirmations of wanting to do better, not carrying on patterns that they may have picked up during the years and really wanting to change for themselves. And definitely their motivation I see is for their family and their children. So that's the biggest upswing is that people are walking in and asking for services, and it's okay, and they're
Mm.
proud to talk about it. And I think that's great to see.
Yeah, that's great though, because therapy is there for like the people though. People forget you help too. A lot of people think like, oh, if you're like certain like you're labeled crazy or like a certain way, it's like you don't want to like go or something like that too. So.
Correct, correct. And I think, I think just social media and television,
Mm.
being able to see what it sort of looks like. And, while it is not the person that's on TV telling you
Mm.
advice and that,
Yeah.
it really is you and your therapist walking
Mm.
in that journey together. I tell
Mm.
clients, I'm here to walk with you
Mm.
to help you sort out where do you want to go. And I may have some open-ended questions to ask you, but really being able to give you a safe space to contemplate what is your norm, not somebody else's. So taking that.
So, going to therapy is one thing, but after a session too, what are some ways people can like get help like outside of therapy too after a session, so they continue like progress and get better?
So what I say, typically with clients, I've heard that they're very self-reflective. I think about my journey is that after a session, whether it has stirred up great emotions, internal conflict, I want to talk about, being able to sit and think about what is going on with you. Maybe not necessarily concentrate on that session, depending on what it is, but yes, being self-reflective and taking some time out. So I always promote self-care before and after your session to give you some time. And being able to be the type of therapist that notes that, this session was a little rough.
Mm.
And so what can I do to help you transition back into your normal life when you leave my doors? So some activities, some grounding, um, self-reflection activities and check-ins if necessary.
Yeah, that's great because a lot of therapists I've talked to, they said that's not going to be like a fairy tale. It's not going to be like, oh, well, I'm like going to like pat you on the back too. It's going to be like, all right, we're going to just take care of this problem too, get to the root of it too. So it's not going to be like a nice like cozy thing. It's going to be like maybe get rough. So
Therapy
so
is uncomfortable at times, and
mm,
that's working. And sometimes it can
mm.
be really good with self-reflection and revelation, but it's uncomfortable.
So if you could talk a little about the topics going on with like the policing and mental health too, like ways we can like defund the police and find other programs to like help mental health. And then somebody's like in distress or somebody's out there they needs help without like somebody calling the police again. The police getting involved too,
Yeah.
especially in Chicago because I know Chicago is just like a
So
divide.
So just the stigma and stereotype of looking at some African Americans, not all, but definitely some, you just don't call the police because there can be dire effects and death can be a cause. And so I think really being able to have people that are working in social service agencies to help others. So whether you're a case manager, a clinical case manager, a therapist, a social worker, psychologist, doctors, I think really being able to tap into your community and being present more than just being a vendor at a community fair, but really being able to get out into the churches, into the organizations, and being one-on-one and promoting good mental health and strategies to really look at how do we as a neighborhood or as a community, although we may not know each other, how do we protect one another? How do we motivate one another that, if there's an issue, I should be comfortable enough to say, hey, I can come next door and say, hey, there's something going on. You know, if you have somebody that's identified and it doesn't affect your livelihood, let's talk about some strategies just for everyday people. Let's talk about the mental health strategies and being able to promote that. Talking about violence. Violence is real. And um, there's a big push for letting the police know. I definitely understand that. The reality is that that doesn't always happen. But being able to be there for um, your neighbors seeing one another and really being able to get therapists out and talk about what are the effects of violence in your neighborhood, what are the effects on you, what are the effects on the children. So I think we need to be more present than just at a community vendor. I think it needs to be more often. I think schools are a good place to help talk about good mental health and strategies to cope in neighborhoods that have maybe uptake of community issues.
Great.
So
So you talk about the new normal too for people out there that may be like struggling or uncertain about the future and all that too. Like, what are some ways they can use this time to like better themselves and moving forward and for like the upcoming like year and
I think
beyond?
the first thing is to just really take time to go, this is a crisis. I may not be in the space to move forward yet. I might
Mhm.
still be in the creation space. Everybody, Blacks, African Americans, ethnicities, people play multiple roles. So, you might be the financial provider, a mother, a father, a partner, um, you know, you play multiple roles in your family. And so at times you could absolutely be the strength and backbone of some of your family and friends. So I think being able to take a moment to just pause. I think the next thing that you could do is begin to look at things that you really want to tackle in your life. So be it your finances, be it maybe you want to take up gardening. If you're working from home, you have a little time to do that on your lunch hour now, where normally we probably go out and get some lunch or,
Yeah.
talk to your friend. Really think about those things that will help calm and center you. Being cautious and, be doing what's instructed by our mayor and our governor, wearing your mask, washing your hands, being mindful of social distancing. And I recognize that, I too, I want to go outside and not just to the
Yeah.
grocery store. I
Mhm.
want to go into the mall and not feel like somebody sneezed or they're
Yeah.
too close to me. And it's a new normal, where people
Mhm.
walk past you and it would just be the norm. Now you're a little cautious, or sometimes people forget because they're just happy to see you and they run up and hug
Yeah.
you. And so just being mindful that this is a different time and learning how to adjust is going to be um, something that's here to stay for a while, but it's doable. And just being able to look at self care. Self care is really going to sustain us in the end. It really is.
Yeah. So if you could talk a little bit about more about self care, like what do you advocate for in terms of self care? I know you talked a little about meditation, but what else could you like recommend out there?
I'm a proponent of healthy eating, as healthy as it can be. We all have our struggles and things that we really like. But I think about um, nutrition a lot because of COVID. So really being able to tap into, while we've probably been cooking more at home, and so things have opened up, being able to run outside and eat, that's great. But I think just having shared moments of being able to eat with family, being able to have Zoom meetings and have dinners together with those that we can't talk to. So Zoom and that's become the big thing, and go meet. And so being able to look at moments of self-care, exercise, reading for fun, looking at TV just because it's something that will take your mind off for the moment. So, I've been here. I hadn't seen a soap opera since early college. And so now I sort of catch it on my lunch hour, when I turn on the TV. It's relaxing, being able to read a book that had nothing to do with school, nothing to do with my job of counseling. Nothing that I was going to have to teach for the next semester. Just reading something fun that I liked that had nothing to do with anything but making a smile on my face.
And
So,
also too with being home all this time too, or not all the time, but more than
yeah.
often too. You talk about the effects of social media, like because more people are on it, like more than hours than they should be. So talk about the effects of social media and mental health.
So, you know, I'm all for social media um, because we never know what people are going to do. So those that are at home that might be by themselves, their social media, I would assume, would go up in some ways. But I think being able to step back every day for a couple of hours and how you divide that up, maybe 30 minutes here, 10 minutes here, an hour here, I think to concentrate on something that will help you post COVID or future COVID, November, December, January, I think is a great idea. I think using social media to your best self, learning how to use Zoom, learning how to create a new program, being able to study and research things that you have been thinking about that will help you in your future, or just things that you've been curious about. So I don't think social media is a bad thing. I think it's just being conscious and intentional of how we use it.
Okay. Great. So finally, if you could give like words of encouragement to people out there like struggling or just need some like guidance or something like that, that'd be great in the final like moments.
So my words of encouragement are, we all have moments that make us feel that we're contained, that we might be isolated, that we may not be living our best life as we have envisioned it to be. One of the things that I encourage people to do is, give yourself a chance to learn something new. Give yourself a pat on the back for just being here in this moment and being present. And, think of things that are positive for you. So, positive affirmations every day. Think of something that is your best self. Whether it's today I wore my hair in a ponytail and I typically keep it loose because I'm at work, or, I was able to look in the mirror and really like what I see, or just being able to go, I did a really great job of just being on time to get to the Zoom meeting. So just little things to make yourself feel better and passing on an encouraging word to somebody else. It doesn't have to be a made up statement, just, hey, I miss seeing you today, or it's nice seeing you today, or sending a text or picking up the phone to call somebody you haven't really talked to in a while. So just be encouraged that things will change. It may not look as how we have perceived it to be, but it will come to fruition to be what we would like it to be.
I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your
Thank
expertise
you for
and
having me.
people out there be some like encouragement and words and like maybe kind of lost. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for
And
having me.
people find you at social media and websites and all that.
Yes, social media, websites, educator, you name it, I'm doing it.
So what is your website or people can find you on like social media? People can reach out to you.
Um, it is new. It's under Lisa D. Vinson, so counselor educator. So I am recreating it, but I am definitely on social media for Facebook.
Okay, great. So
Lisa Vinson,
thank
counselor
you
educator.
again. Great. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
watching. This has been the Countless Vlogcast with Lisa Vonson, mental health professional. Make sure you guys watch this again on YouTube, Countless Vlogcast. Make sure you guys subscribe and check out the other episodes. And thank you guys for watching.
Thanks. Have a great evening.